Welcome to the new video on cascading style sheets. So before going into the details of CSS, cascading style sheets, let us understand why they are important. So if you can see the page, it has got a particular background color and the text is also having a color. So let us try to remove the formatting so that it's a plain black and white arrangement of the text and the background. For most of the people, the previous arrangement was good looking. Now this is the thing, the content is same but the presentation is different. So that's how for most of the people they may prefer to they may prefer the contents which is good looking over the content which is not. Functionally the both the contents may be same, and that is the reason we should study cascading style sheet, because CSS or cascading style sheets is the language that allows us to format the HTML elements so that they may be displayed in a better way. In short, CSS allows us to format or to display the HTML elements in a better way. How exactly it is done, we'll see later. Now the same thing, of formatting the elements, making them better looking, can be done for all or lot of the the lot of elements which are present on the web page at the same time with the help of CSS. Even all the pages can be controlled with the help of CSS. CSS can control the layout of multiple web pages by changing a single source. How exactly that is done, we'll see later. Now, what is CSS so far as HTML is concerned? The difference between these two. We must first understand what is HTML and what is CSS. HTML is a structuring language so far as web page is concerned. HTML puts the sequence in which the different HTML tags or elements will be placed on a web page. It does not say anything about how they will look like. For example, it says that first there will be a paragraph followed by a table and things like that, but it does not have any capability to format the text color, maybe the background of the page, etc. So there is a one attribute of table which has got cell padding, etc., which will allow to format the table, but other than that there is no way we can format the tags. Whereas CSS, which is cascading style sheets, allows us to format the page. We can format the page by changing the text color. We can put a background color to that, and so on. So let us go to the previous arrangement. Yes. So with that description, let's go further. How exactly CSS is used, the CSS syntax. So basically the syntax is like this. It has got two things. One is the selector and second is the declaration box. Now selector can be any HTML element for which you want to apply a style. For example, that can be H1, H2, P, or even body. And second is the declaration box, as you can see here. So the declaration box, which is contained in curly brackets like this, will be having different declarations. Declaration 1, for example, this is one single declaration. This is second, and so on. In this way, it can have any number of declarations. So for every declaration, there will be two things. One is the property, and second is the corresponding value for that property. And these two things will be separated by a colon. So in this way, there can be n number of declarations as we have just seen, and these multiple declarations, if they are there, they will be separated by a semicolon. Let me repeat. A declaration will be having two things, property and value, and these two things will be separated with a colon. And if multiple declarations are there, they will be separated with a semicolon. So in this way, there can be n number of declarations. So all these declarations are taken into a declaration box. Basically, these are the two things, selector and the declaration box. So this is what is shown in this syntax part as well. I mean, this is the proper syntax, and this is one representation. So H1, which is the selector, and the declaration box has got color, which is the property, first property, and the value for that color property is yellow. The next declaration is font size. So font size is the property in that declaration, and the value for that font size is 11 pixels. So all that comprise of a declaration box. So in this way, we can have any style defined or any element for that matter. So one more example here it is given. So here I have written H1 in small, the color is yellow, font size 11px. If you notice, there is a subtle difference. In this example, there is no semicolon at the end, whereas I have put it here. So both these syntaxes are very correct. That last semicolon can be there, or that can be omitted. So why I have put it? Because if you want to add some declarations after this, so you may even sometimes forget to put this semicolon, and that may not be correct. So it is better practice to put the semicolon after every declaration. Let me repeat, both these syntaxes, I mean this syntax as well as this syntax, they are both correct. Similarly, one more thing, same styling or declaration is applied now to a P element. What exactly is means that now the paragraph content will be having the text with yellow color and the font size will be 11 pixels. So to go into the intricacies of the syntax, it has got once again two things, selector and the declaration box. Selector can be any HTML element that you want to style. To give the style to any HTML element, we'll be using that as a selector. That can be any element for that matter. And declaration block will be specifying the style for that particular element. Now in this, as you already seen this part, okay. Now we'll go to different properties which are possible, or rather a subset of properties we will see. So there are many such properties. Some of them are color. Let me repeat. Even though it is given to be a capital C here, we will stick to a way of putting all those properties and the values in small case letters. So color is the property which is used to change the text color. Value for that property will be any valid color name, and one example for that will be H1 with color is equal to maroon. Now for H1 heading, the text color will be maroon. So in this way, let me go through all the properties one by one. Background color, background dash color is one more property which will set the background color of the web page. Once again, the value will be any valid color name, and this is one example in the same way. So body is given the background color of yellow color. Next is font weight. It is used to change the weight of the text. So we can even think of making it emphasizing text or bold text. So for example, there are various weights possible from 100 to 900. We can have P font weight is equal to, the value for that font weight is 300. So font style used to give styles to the text. It can be italic, oblique, or even normal. So if you want to italicize the text, we can put P font style italic. Text decoration. So various decorative styles can be applied using this. So strike through, underline, overstrike. These are some of the ways in which we can give decoration, decorate the text. So this is one example. Text align. So we can left align, right align, center, or justify the text in this way. We can change the font of a particular text block using a font family like this. Font family Arial for that paragraph. Font size can be similarly changed, and for that values may be expressed in some units like px. Px stands for pixels. So for screen, you might be knowing that every individual point in that screen is called as pixel. The smallest possible addressable point on the screen or the computer monitor is called as the pixel, and that is pixel. How many pixel the font will be, size of that font. In for inches, mm for millimeters, cm for centimeters, and point is point. So you can experiment with that. So P font size 10 px, that means 10 pixel will be the font size of that particular text. Letter spacing, to change the horizontal spacing between characters. Once again, similar units. Padding. If you see this particular table, the padding is something like the space which is there around the content. So that can be expressed once again in pixels. So border. So border is basically a shorthand property that adds many more things. In border, let us go and see permits. So in this way, I'll be putting a reference to all the properties, valid references. You can go and check using those references. So border is one. So basically border has got three definitions for border: the color of the border, the style, and width. So there is one example, real-time example we'll see. So border is now solid. If it is made dashed or red, the values are now dashed and red. The border changes here. Previously we have selected solid. Now it was solid that time. Now if you change to dashed and the color is red, it changes like this. Let me show you with different values for that border like this. So basically what this means, that we are defining three things: the color, width, and style. One more, we can go into details, like we can define the width, border width, in different ways. Now this is a thick border, so let us change that. Three different values are possible: thick, thin, and medium. So let me change this thick to thin. Now if you can see, compare the previous with this one, this is thin. Let me get it back to thick. Okay, now it is thick. So like this, we can change, or we can play with the multiple values for border width. So we can change the borders like this. Okay. So background image, we can set the background image for a web page. There are two, body, background image, and the value will be having URL. So body is having the styling given like this. Background image is the property name, and the value for that will be the URL for that background image. Now this is a relative path. That means the background.jpg is a image file which is in the same directory where the web page is. Otherwise, if that was there in some other directory, we would have required to give the whole path. Whole path means relative to the web page directory. So we can either specify the complete path right from the root, or we can also specify the relative path. Now there is one more property called as margin, and the margin is a shorthand, and there are details like margin left, margin right, margin top, margin bottom, and things like that. It is basically there to change the margin for different element. Once again, the units are pixel, point, centimeter, inches, millimeter, etc. So we can change the margin of elements. Most importantly, we will see the types today. There are three types of CSS. So one is inline CSS. Next is internal CSS or embedded style sheet. And third is external CSS. There will be a question on this topic. Inline CSS, internal CSS, or embedded style sheet, it is called as. So these are the two names for the same thing. And third is external CSS. The first, inline style sheet. So this is a basic or the first type that uses the style attributes in the HTML start tag itself. We'll see one example. Now this is used to apply CSS on a single line or element. If you want to style a single element which is not to be reused anywhere else, you will be using the inline style sheet. Now as an example of that, let us go and see. So this is an example page where the inline style is given to the P tag. Now this is given like this, the P, and in the start P tag itself we are specifying after some space, white space is there, we are writing style. Style is equal to, and in double quotes we are putting once again the declaration of property and value pair. Color is the property and the value is blue, and hello CSS is the content of, the text for that paragraph, and we are now closing that. So once again, to reiterate, that inline CSS will be applied to the element in which, or in the start or tag of which we are putting that particular style that is specific to that element. So that will be into start tag and specified like this. Let us go and see how that looks like. Hello CSS. Okay, so let us change that blue color. If you cannot, yeah, this is hello CSS. Okay, so if you change that blue, let's say red, I save that and then I refresh the page here. Okay, that is changed. So in this way, whatever changes in the declaration or in the style that I put it here, that will be applied to the single paragraph there, and that is called as the inline CSS, which is applied to one single element. Okay, so next is internal CSS or embedded style sheet. Now if you go on applying, like in the previous case of inline, uh, individual CSS, and if you want to change it afterwards, other, for example, there are multiple paragraphs and you want to apply the same styles to multiple paragraphs. In the previous case of inline, you had to go to each individual P tag and apply all those styles to all those elements, all those p tags. That was not efficient. So we now use what is called as the internal CSS or embedded style sheet, which is used to apply style on a single document or page. Whatever we specify there in that style sheet, embedded style sheet, will be applied to a single document or web page. Now it can affect all the elements which are present on that page. So if you will see one example. So that is given inside the style tag within the head section of HTML. Whenever you want to specify the internal CSS or embedded style sheet, where it is written in the head section using the style tag. So let us see how it is used. So this is one example of internal CSS wherein after in the head tag after title I am putting the style tag. So in the style I am putting various CSS rules like this, where P is given a style color red. So as many P tags are there in this page, those will be applied the color. I mean the text for that particular paragraph will be red. Now the body, one more CSS rule is there. Body background color sky blue. So let us first see how well. This is the heading which is seen here. It has got no formatting. Okay, and the paragraph is red. The text in the two paragraphs is red. So let us now, what was the advantage of this particular style or second type? Whenever I change or whenever I put a style for any particular tag, that will be applied to all these tags which are present in the web page. So I have just saved it and let me refresh this page. Okay, so the two paragraphs have got the same effect by changing only a single line here or single style here. Had there been many more paragraphs, they would have got the same style by changing a single rule in the internal CSS. So this is the advantage of internal CSS over the previous inline CSS. We did not require to go to each individual p tag and put the style. One more thing that I wanted to show you, we can put comments in the CSS rules like this. I am putting two forward slashes. Now I am saving this and let me refresh. The background color has gone. Let me remove that, save and refresh. It has come back. Okay, so in this way we can simply even test for whether it is looking fine using some configurations by having some comments. We can, if you want to test or you want to put it out, we can put the comments like this, two forward slashes. So the third is the external site style sheet. Basically it is used generally when we want to make changes on multiple pages. So there may be p tags present on multiple pages in our website, and we want to give a specific formatting to all the text present there on these paragraphs. That may be one scenario. So it facilitates to change the look of the entire website by changing just one file. Previously we have seen in the case of internal, all the p tags on the same single page were affected by changing a single style CSS rule there. Now using external style sheet, the p tags on all the pages of the entire website can be formatted in a unique way. That is the advantage of external style sheet. It applies to multiple pages. At this point, let me reiterate. The first type, inline, affects a single element on a web page. The second type, inline, affects all the elements for which the style is defined on the web page. And the third type, external style sheet, affects or applies to all the tags which are present on multiple pages of the website. So it uses the link tag on every page, and the link tag should be put inside the head section. We'll see one example. Now it's a normal text, the whatever external style sheet file, that will be a text file, and that can be created with any text editor. Only the thing is that it has to have the .css extension. We'll see one example. So this is the external style sheet, style.css, where the styles have been given as body is given the background color of sky blue, and h1 is defined to be having a text color for red. So let us go and see how it is used. This is one file which is using that. If you can see, it is one line here, link rel is equal to style sheet. So if you are not getting it, let me zoom. Okay, so link, using the link tag, we are defining that link white space rel relative is equal to, in double quotes, style sheet, which is the keyword there, then white space, after that type is equal to, this is a text file, so text and css, so it's a css which is a text file, and then white space and href. Href is equal to the name of the external style sheet, style.css. My file was having the name like style.css, that's why I put it here. Now once again, it's a relative addressing, means the path is relative, where there is external css html file, and in that directory itself, if the style.css is present, that external style sheet, then we can put the name only. If this style.css external style sheet is present somewhere else in some other directory, we'll have to put that parent directory here as well, and that will be relative to the directory of external css. In short, we have to put the relative path of the external style sheet here. We can also put the specific path here. So coming to the actual point, so this is one and this is second file. They both refer to the same style.css. So, and this is the exact definition or the style sheet file. So the corresponding, this is the first file with two paragraphs. If you see the definition, there are two paragraphs, one heading, and this is like this presented like this. Similar second file, this is the change is only in the heading. This is a second file. Now what I want to emphasize or show is, let us put that background color as, not look like good, but just to represent yellow. Save. Now I have just changed the contents of style.css. I have not changed the HTML files. There are two HTML files. So let me go and see what happens to both the file. Let me refresh. So the first HTML has got a change in the background. The background has changed to white, sorry, yellow. And for the second, if I refresh, that also changes. So what I have demonstrated here is that if you simply change one single file or the styles defined in one single external style.css file, that is going to affect all the pages, web pages, like external css.html and external css1.html, they both refer to the same style.css, and all the styles which are given in this will be affecting all the pages which are referring to this style.css, like the one that you have just seen. So this is the advantage. I mean, this is external CSS basically, and the advantage being it can affect all the pages which refer to it. Now, one more important point which is not given in your book. We have seen the previously seen the difference between CSS and HTML. That is also not discussed in the book at the beginning. And one more thing is precedence of inline, internal, and external. Now, what is the meaning of precedence? What if conflicting styles are given there? Means now external CSS gives the page color to be red, inline internal gives it to be blue, and inline internal gives it to be somewhere something else. Means three different styles, inline, internal, and external, are giving different colors to the page element. What will happen? So the precedence is basically, as can be seen here, whatever that is defined in inline CSS has got the highest precedence, followed by the internal, and then ultimate, I mean last is external. What it means is that if for example there is one style sheet that says the p tag is going to have a red color, and that is defined to be external. Now there is one more style which is given as internal style, and that has got the p tag to have blue color, and in actual p tag we have got one style that says that the p tag is going to have black color. Then what will be displayed as the text in the paragraph? The text in the paragraph will be having black color, because the styles will be first seen in external, then it is overwritten by the internal. External was saying that the text was to be red, then internal, which was found in the head section, that said the text was to be blue, and in the actual tag it was said that using the inline CSS the text was to be black, and that's why the inline will go with higher precedence and the text will be black. So I'll be putting all those references as a description of this video, and they'll be present in my blog as well. So this is how the introduction, we have seen just the introduction to cascading style sheets. We'll go further with next videos. Thank you.